meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the Speed Meter Steel, it's my newfangled automobile. Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. At the turn of the 20th century, the United States was getting serious about making cars. However, the infrastructure to support said cars needed to be developed. Roads, gas stations, traffic laws and such would need to exist. And amongst those needs was for mechanics. Garages with qualified mechanics did exist in America of 1900, but they were only found in a few of the big cities. Skilled automotive technicians needed to be established across a vast and sparsely populated nation. And in 1904, the tool to address this problem came into being, the Dykes Manual. Andrew Lee Dyke was an engineer and automaker in St. Louis, Missouri, and he created the gold standard for teaching new prospective mechanics. Available through the mail, this was a full 12-module course in automotive engineering. Once a student completed that course, advanced courses were also available to hone the lone mechanic's skills. And today, Gary Hussar, the curator of the Canton Classic Car Museum, will be showing us a Dykes basic course dated from 1911, as well as an advanced course, this one published in 1913. So Gary, I do believe that what you are holding is a 1911 Dykes manual for automotive engineering. If somebody wanted to become an auto mechanic through correspondence course instead of a apprenticeship, this is how it would happen. Can you show us what you're holding and what we got here?
Yes, this is a 1911 Dykes correspondence manual on auto repair. There are 12 different books in this collection here. It covers general outline, steering, axles, clutches, carburation, engine balance, ignition, and so forth. So virtually everything it takes to make an automobile run or not run is pretty much in this first 12 books.
And the book you have there, what does it cover?
This was just a general outline of the automobile motor.
Okay. And let's see what else is there. You got 12 of these books.
Yeah. And number 2 is for the engine drivetrain, the drivetrain. And book 3 is for steering. 4 is differentials and axles. 5 would be clutches and universal joints. 6 is transmissions. And let's see, just so far. We have here, I don't have them all memorized, but 7 is just a general explanation of the motor. 8 is the engine parts, crankshaft, valves, gears, pistons, connecting rods and as such. So it goes clear through the whole, actually not just automotive motor, but the drivetrain and clear to the rear wheels.
Okay. Who would have gotten something like this back in 1911?
Anybody that was interested in getting into the automotive trade to repair automobiles would purchase the books like these.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that you have, Haynes manuals and Chilton's, which are specific to a car, but it doesn't look like what you have there is specific to a car. Is this more of a more general course?
Yes, more of in general of what makes a vehicle work, and they all kind of take the same things to make them work. You need fuel, you need spark, then obviously you need some type of a drivetrain to make it move. transmission, rear, and you would go from there.
Okay, got it. And then that one particular one was from 1911. I see this rather colorful looking, I believe it's called mannequin here. What is this for?
This is the ignition timer, they would call it. It's an old piece. It's hard to make it function now because of the age of it.
Yeah.
So this would show it making and breaking a spark. This would be your distributor cam, opens and closes each points, and it would make this thing turn and fire at each coordinated spark plug.
It looks like a magneto system.
It's not really a magneto. It is just strictly a timer that times, it don't produce power. It just feeds power and coordinates power.
Okay. How would that have been shown? Like, what you have there looks like, a 4-cylinder engine. And many engines at that time would have multiple spark plugs per cylinder.
Yes.
How would does that show that at all?
That would not show that. The only difference that would be the more cylinders you have, obviously more spark plugs, and there would be more open and closing contact points on this little cam here that's in the middle.
Okay, so that's showing you basically the principle.
This is the principle, and it's the same principle no matter if it's a 1-cylinder or 4-cylinder, 6, 8, 12, 16.
Now, you didn't get 16s in 1911.
I understand, but as it went on.
What else do you have in that little pocket?
Okay, this here shows the differential with a ring and pinion. This would be your drive shaft, a universal joint. You have a pinion gear and a ring gear. And that's what is in differentials to make the car move. And they all have different gear ratios.
Wow, look at that thing. That is 1911 cardboard, still working. Wow.
And this would be coming out of your transmission right here.
Of course. Yeah, and I know we've got some other little trinkets down there.
And this is just showing your fuel induction system. There would be an intake, your carburetors here, intake into the cylinder head, and then the exhaust manifold, letting the exhaust unburned gases out.
Okay, so this, the whole course sounds like what it's doing is it's just giving you a good comprehensive overview
Yes.
of what it's going to take to be a mechanic.
To be a mechanic.
Okay.
First of all, you need to know how things work before you can repair them.
Oh, that makes sense.
You need to know fuel's got to get in. You got to have spark. It's got to be timed. And then once you get those pieces going, now you've got to put it to the ground.
Right.
And that's what the differential and drive shaft is doing.
That's how cars work.
That's how they work.
So once you've been to the basic course to learn what it takes to make a car run, now it's time to go into the advanced course and learn some specifics. So I believe this is from 1913, is that right?
Yeah, this is
Gary?
1913.
Okay, and this is what, after you've been through the basic Dykes course and you want to start learning more specifics, you would be going into. So why don't you show us what we got here?
Yeah, and now this is 1913 book, and what this is starting to show you is the stuff you've learned, how do you go about assembling it.
Aha.
And in this book, it shows, you can go through the whole gamut. You have interior, you have fenders, there's motor pieces. It's just endless of what's in there, and we can't actually describe it all right now.
Right, that's a lot of stuff.
But also in with this kit is showing kind of working models of everything. And there again, these are very old and they're not functioning like they may have at that time. But what we have here is a carburetor. And in a carburetor, we have fuel that comes in and you have a float once the fuel comes in.
So is that an updraft or a downdraft?
This is an updraft. And as this comes in, it raises a float, satisfies the amount of fuel, and the float shuts the fuel feed off, okay? Now then it comes in, intake valve takes it in, and this would be your exhaust.
So you're actually moving these little pieces, and they're showing you the relationship of them. Is that right?
Yeah. And now these would be obviously cam operated. So that would show that. This is showing your valves. Intake valve, exhaust valve, and the middle one would be the piston. As the piston would come up, inlet
what's
lets
that?
fuel
And
in.
is that a T-head configuration
Yes.
there?
The intake valve would let fuel in, piston would come up, compress it, spark plug would fire it, exhaust would let it out.
And you can actually, I think there's gears in the back. It actually
Yeah, there's
kinda
actually
moves.
gears in the back.
Let's see if we can get a shot of that actually moving a little bit.
Yeah,
On the-
it's very,
I mean, I get it.
there you
They're
can see
old.
the piston moving. Here, you can see the cam lobe, but it is not connecting
Got it.
properly.
But that is so cool. I mean,
That is. Then, now you go, we're gonna jump ahead here. Well, not really, I'm gonna get this one out. Because this one shows the pistons, okay? And that's the pistons actually moving. Here's a crankshaft, which lets it move.
That's gonna what a learning guide. I mean,
Yes.
the internet wouldn't be invented for another
On this side,
90 years.
you're showing the working valves with the camshaft lobes, and that makes the valves up and down.
Wow.
You have an intake and an exhaust valve for each cylinder.
So if you're a visual learner, this is the way to learn it.
This is a way to learn. Now we're getting into drivetrain. This would be, this is your clutch area. The clutch right now would be engaged when you push the pedal in. This is a cone type clutch.
Yeah.
It moves that away and lets your car be in neutral. Now, when you want to go, you let up off in the clutch, it contacts, now you're going.
Yet there's also you have your shifter there too.
And we have a shifter here that shows the different, this is how you would be sliding from one gear to the next.
Thank you, Emil Levasseur, for
And
inventing
then
that.
this would be into like first and second gear. We'd slide back and forth. This would contact that gear. Now when you come over, you're in contact with this gear. Then you would lift the lever and do the same in the back. So it's a very unique little piece
Oh yeah, it is.
that shows you, and there again, keep in mind the age of it and how old it is.
I
and
mean,
how
it's almost as old as you.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's smarter than me.
Well, this is how so many mechanics learned the
Yes.
trade.
And this is a good way to see what it's doing or how it's operating without physically being into it.
Right. There, when you're looking at this era of American history, we're talking 1911, 12, 13, 14. In rural America, you didn't have a bunch of garages all over the place.
Correct.
A lot of the people who were getting these things were simply farmers that needed to work on their own equipment because there was no place nearby.
Keep in mind, everybody was learning there.
Absolutely.
You really couldn't go, there wasn't as many go-to people. at the time.
But if you had one of these, you became the go-to person.
So,
Just like you have become.
It gives you the view of actually how it works.
Well, Gary, it is awesome to just see these things and see the little marquettes and
Yes.
the little sliding and everything and how that showed us. Gary, thank you so much for showing us these manuals and that and for the time to give us that piece of history.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next time. Peace.